Ready to go!
Alrighty guys, thought I'd do a quick little bit of an episode here about setup strength. I saw in the Armwrestling training forum on Facebook that this was a popular topic at the moment. Also saw a great video from Travis Bajent. If you haven't seen that, go and check that out. It's in the Armwrestling training group on Facebook. But setup strength, a few people asking about it. First of all, the setup, it's absolutely critical. I think that the majority of matches are actually won first and foremost in the setup. Not all matches, but you get into the fight first and foremost. Now, strength, when I say setup, let me clarify a few things. I'm not talking about trickery or I'm not talking about moves. Don't get me wrong, awareness will be a critical factor. You do need to be very aware. But what we're talking about here is what I call static threat. Now, if you can scare your opponent on what I would describe as the four fundamentals, then it's going to be the easiest match you could possibly ever have. And what does it feel like to be scared of your opponent? You can normally feel it. If you grip someone stronger than you, you can feel whether you're going that way or that way. You just know what's going to happen after the go. And if you win all four of the static threats in the setup, you're going to be that guy, just easy pin every day of the week. So the four fundamental setup strengths that I would describe, they're the same four fundamentals that Devin Larratt will talk about in arm wrestling entirely, but they are super critical in the setup. Okay, that's where you want to impart those strengths most of all. So in no particular order, I'm going to say we've got back pressure, call it rising pressure, back pressure, whatever you want to call it. And okay, back pressure, we see people like Travis likes to get his elbow forward and his tricep side so that he's got a greater amount of back pressure and rising threat. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, if you intimidate someone on that, straight away they're not going to want to hold on to you. They're going to start looking to run. Okay, they're either going to back out the door or they're going to float way past you to try to hopefully set a hook afterwards. But one thing for sure is if you've got dominant back pressure, they're not going to hold on to you. Or they're not going to want it. You've scared them with back pressure. That's one fundamental that you've got. The one that goes with back pressure is pronation. Okay, if you've got back pressure alone but no strong pronation, as you load up, your palm will be turned. Okay, that's gonna make the hookers very happy. Anyone who's against you who feels like your pronation's not strong, they're gonna think, oh yeah, let's just turn this guy into a hook. We're gonna be all good. So you need static pronation, and I'm gonna go through how I would train all of these static strengths in a moment. The other one is what I call just an impenetrable tabletop of fingers. Okay, this one's gonna scare away everyone who's trying to low hand top roll you. So if you've got the back pressure, now again, just to retouch on back pressure, when I talk about that, we're making the assumption that you've got high knuckles and wrist dominance as well as part of that rising pressure. Okay, but back to the tabletop, the impenetrable tabletop, this is really gonna stop those low hand top rollers. And what I'm talking about there is it's not cupping, guys, it's tabletop strength. Now, the reason we talk about tabletop strength instead of cupping is because we don't get to start in a cup. Okay, when we're in an arm wrestling match, okay, we might be starting in a position like this. Okay, we've got to have our wrists straight, but we do have the ability to intimidate there. So anytime our opponent tries to test against that, if they feel this immovable object and it feels to them like it's scary and they don't want to go there after the go, okay, you've just taken away their top rolling. They're now left with flop slipping. So if you've won the back pressure, or if you've intimidated on back pressure, you've intimidated on pronation, you've intimidated with the tabletop, okay, they're now going to look to flop press. The one and the last fundamental in the static strength that you need that'll get rid of that flop press is the shoulder line. Okay, the side pressure, carving. Obviously, you are meant to start square, but somebody in an arm wrestling match will always get to start more carved than your opponent. If you have the static strength and the static threat to be that person and be the one who gets to start, instead of starting here, you're starting here, okay, that flop press is gone in your opponent. And all that's going to happen is, don't be ready to go. It's going to be the most gentle and easy pin of your life. So again, to quickly rehash, guys, back pressure, pronation, impenetrable fingers, and dominant side pressure in carving. That will win you the setup. You win all 4 of those, you will guaranteed win the match. I promise you, you are not going to lose a match if you are dominant in your static strength on those 4 things. Now, often we come up against opponents where we might win a couple of those things, we might win 1 of those things and lose the other 3. Doesn't mean you're out of the match, but it means you're fighting an uphill battle. So the more of those 4 things you can secure in your setup, the stronger you are going to feel relative to your opponent after the go happens. Now, training that, all these movements are static, as I've described. They're not active contractions, we're not moving, we're not bending our wrists, we're just trying to be impenetrable. So the way that you would train those things is to replicate. It's all about replicating those positions. So let's just, I've got this set up here so we can talk about this one straight away. We'll show you the carve. Okay, so I've just got a nice heavy band. This band, like for me to press that band down is pretty tricky. But anyway, so let's talk about, so this band comes into tension at about center there, but I want to be the guy, so we're going to go in reverse order. We're going to talk about the shoulder carve here. So what we want to do, get into our arm wrestling position, grab your heavy band, and just sit in that carved position. Okay, sit in that carved position. Now, obviously, you can make it harder, move the table that way. I don't want to move it at the moment just for the sake of the camera, but you can get the idea. Get to your arm wrestling position. There's where the band is under tension. It's quite a heavy band. This one, I don't know what it's rated exactly, but it's the heaviest one I've got. And then sit in the carve. Okay, keep your shoulders square, ready to go. This is where you want to be starting that match ideally. Okay, this is gonna, the longer you can sit here and the more tension you can handle, naturally, the better that last fundamental is gonna be. The tabletop one, okay, give me 2 seconds, let me just grab the handle. All right, this here is my favorite handle so far for containment. It's a Mazarenko handle. There's lots of other similar things, but what I like about this is the finger position. Okay, it gets into that exact containment style. Now, you can actively train these by doing plate curls, but remember, we're not actively moving in the setup. We're static, okay? Now, not to say that plate curls won't dramatically affect your ability to do this, same as any clamping, any sort of movement like that, but if you can replicate the exact setup, even better. So this one here on a cable pull down, just imagine this is attached to a cable pull down. Okay, you would have the attachment point obviously up there. Okay, you might use 2 hands to bring it down. Okay, get into that carved position and then sit and hold, sit and hold, sit and hold, sit and hold till your hand goes. Okay, excellent tool for that containment strength. Pronation. Okay, same sort of thing. What I would do for pronation is just have a low attachment point, something right down in front of me. Again, let me grab the strap that I use for this one. Let me just find it. Ah, it's right here. It's tying up my band. Okay, so I have this nice, thick, soft, comfortable strap. Okay. Cable attachment, okay, have the cable attachment low in front of the table. Low in front of the table. Get a soft, comfortable strap, put your thumb through it, okay. Get into the strength, the static strength position. Get into that setup and sit there and don't let your hand go back down. Sit in these static movements. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, add a band to the cable, or just go with a really heavy band and rock back, and so as you get into that position, it's loaded. Now the critical things here, Travis Bajent style, tricep side of the elbow, front of the pad. Keep your hand as close to your left shoulder or your non-arm wrestling shoulder as possible. Chin right near your chin right near your fist, okay? The closer you are here, the more impenetrable your setup's gonna feel. Think Travis Bagent, think Andre Pushkar, all those kind of guys that just really dominate with that great high pronation and static threat. And the last one, back pressure. Same attachment that you would use for the pronation, except if you want to just isolate the back pressure, for me, I just loop this same strap straight over my hand like that. Okay, I take all the pronation out of it, but you'll see it still has the wrist integrity. I'm not going around the forearm directly, I'm going over the thumb, just over the hand, and same thing, maintaining a static position. Now, the theory of not doing the dynamic ranges, like, don't get me wrong, anything with a dynamic movement is going to be effective as well in increasing this, but in the quest to replicate the exact thing that we're doing in those setups, those 4 fundamentals, the static holds in all those different regards is going to be best in my opinion. Anyway guys, that is it. I think you win the setup, you win the match 99% of the time, especially if you win all 4 of those fundamentals. You win all 4 of those fundamentals, it is good night. Alright guys, take care.
Yes, that's a man!